Hello everybody, this is Red Vinyl Kitty, drinking my tea, and today is the 6-month anniversary of having my feeding tube surgery. So, I'm going to talk today about how that's been, how I feel just about my feeding tube in general since getting it. I'm going to talk about how I feel it's improved my life, how I feel frustrated in some ways. This is just real talk, straight talk, just how things are with a feeding tube for me personally. Everybody's experience with a feeding tube is different. And I'm not trying to talk for other people, and I'm not here to sound either overly positive or overly negative. I'm just going to tell you what it's been like for me. And 6 months is like, I can't believe it's been 6 months. It's like, I'm still stressed about having the tube, because I have not adapted to it yet. I want to be able to get all the way around the house without any help, and that's been really frustrating. I still can't. Even 6 months in, I still can't. And a lot of people, they're like, well, just get on that. Just get it done. We can't just get it done because we live in a very tiny house, and I can't construct the ramp that I'm working on in the house. So when we're constructing the ramp, it has to be outside. And one thing that's been very frustrating is ever since I've felt well enough to go work on the ramp with Master Pravis, it has been rainy. Now, I don't mean it's been rainy constantly, but we cannot work on the ramp at all during the week. It's not possible. Master Pravis gets home too late, and I can't go down the back stairs to go outside by myself to work on the ramp. And even if I could, I wouldn't need a ramp then, but even if I could get out there by myself, I can't lift the ramp so that I could work on it. So that's hard. And it can't be raining. And it's not so much a matter of, well, just put up a tarp so that you have coverage from the rain. That won't matter because we're painting, and you can't paint in the humidity. So it's really frustrating because it didn't take that long to actually construct the ramp, and we started painting it right away. And finishing it, like getting the painting done, it's like the actual paint job itself is not that time consuming, but I need the weather to cooperate with me, and it hasn't been. Like I said, maybe during the week, but not when we have time. So it's just so aggravating because I'm still trapped up in the front of the house. Now, my Mutique is in the back of the house. So people ask me, do you still do your Mutique? Yes, of course I still do my Mutique. My Mutique is something that I'm able to work on when Master Pravis is home. But that kind of defeats the purpose of the Mutique, because part of the reason I have the Mutique is so I can work on it when he's not home. That's one of the things that I do when I'm home alone and Master Pravis is at work, is I work on the Mutique. So, once the ramp gets done, I will get there. But right now, I'm not there, and I can't deny that that's frustrating. And, people can say, oh, well, look at all the other positive things. I don't care. I am still frustrated that after 6 months, I can't get around my house like I used to. Dangler's over here, laying on my tube, making sure nobody gets it. Another thing that has been incredibly frustrating with the tube is that it is very, very, very short. I don't remember the exact length, but it is much shorter than my hydration tube that I use for my port. And so, but the thing is, with hydration, I'm not attached to that 24/7. I'm attached to my feeding tube. Not 24/7, like sometimes I disconnect to go into the shower or something, but I'm attached to the feeding tube all the time. And that is really hard because I have this really short tether cord. So I have to get into the bed very carefully. And when I'm in there, I can't reach Master Pravis. It's like I can reach him with my hand, yeah, but I can't like cuddle up to him. And, you know, it's things like that that are just so frustrating. This is like, it's nothing I can do about it. So, you know, if I want to be in the bed with Master Pravis, and, like, obviously he can cuddle up to me, but, you know, if he's already asleep, I can't cuddle up to him, so that kind of thing, it's just, it sucks. It does suck. So if I want to be in the bed with him, we have to put the food in the backpack, not in the rolling luggage, and then put the backpack onto the bed. But I can't sleep that way because I won't be able to get to the bathroom in the night because I will never be able to lift and lower the backpack by myself. That's just the way it is. The backpack is very heavy, and it's the heaviest at night because that's when we fill it. So it gets filled at night, and then it slowly empties through the day. So, like, in the night, if I have to use the bathroom, it's so heavy. Even Master Pravis, I mean, he can lift it, of course, but, you know, he says it's heavy. It's heavy. I mean, it's not just food. It also has flesh water in it. So, Dangler's trying to eat the tripod. So, that's hard too. It's also been very frustrating working with the home company that we've been working with. When I first got home from the hospital, I had problems with my feeding tube clogging. And they said, we will try a new formula. And they sent one, and it made me really sick. So, just to make sure that it was the formula, I tried it again another day, and I had the exact same symptoms. So, we said, well, we can't do that. That formula, I'm not trying it again. That formula is just no good, you know? It took them like another 2 or 3 months to send me another formula, and all that time I was having all these clogging problems. So, like, just dealing with the company, although we've had problems dealing with them for my port, that has been nothing but a nightmare. Nothing but a nightmare. It's just so frustrating. But, oh, here's something good though. I do have a new formula now that I'm using, and it's not like you don't start, well, it's different for everybody, but I'm not starting at the rate that I'm trying to get to, so I'm starting at a lower rate, and then we're slowly increasing it until we get to the right amount of calories. And so far, I have not had a clog since starting the new formula. But the other good thing is, this formula is slightly higher calorie, so once I get to that rate, it's going to take a little bit, because adjusting takes time. It's not like an overnight process. It's not like every day you go up. But once I get there, I will get some time off. When I say some time off, I mean a couple hours at the end of my day. A few hours, I should say. which is good. It's good to be off the tube. But my feeding tube, a lot of people have asked, because it's very confusing. There are so many different kinds of feeding tubes. I have a J tube. A J tube does not go into your stomach. So it goes into my small intestine, and so that's why it has to run so slowly. Your small intestine doesn't move very fast. And on top of that, I have gastroparesis, so my small intestine is going to run even slower than somebody else's small intestine. Yes, Dongalore, you're so cute! He's very cute over here. So that's why mine has to run so slow. Everybody's is different, but with a J tube it doesn't matter. You can't run them super fast. So it's going to run, I think, once we get it up to speed, 17 or so hours a day. And then I'll have, I'll go in the shower, and like by the end of everything, I'll probably have 5 or so hours where I'm off the tube at the end of the day, which is good. But I think for the most part, most people are going to see me on the tube because I may not be filming like 10 p.m. at night. And I probably won't be out and about running my errands that late in the day. I might be. But unfortunately, it's not like, oh, good, I'll just unplug while Master Pravis is at work. Because if I unplug while Master Pravis is at work, I'm not going to get all the calories I need to get. Sometimes it clogs, sometimes it starts. You really have to put the formula in and just let it run until it's done. And then when it's stopped, then you can have the rest of the time off for the rest of the day. So that's kind of frustrating too, because it's like, oh good, I've got a break. And some people think, oh, you could take that break whenever you want, but you really can't. Especially if you don't have a feeding tube that you can just, they call it bolus. Like, I can't put a bolus in, I can't put food in and just hang it gravity like I could with my fluid. I can't just put food into my feeding tube and let it run over an hour. It takes a long time. Which brings me to my next point. A thing that's been really good about the feeding tube, yes, Dongalore, hello. A thing that's been very good about the feeding tube is that it has helped me put on weight. Now, when I got the feeding tube, I had lost a lot of weight and a lot of energy, and I felt terrible. And with the feeding tube, I've been able to gain about 2.5 pounds a month, which has been really good. But you also have to consider the fact that during that time, the feeding tube has been feeding me constantly, even while I sleep. So that's pretty crazy to think about. The feeding tube has been feeding me constantly, even while I sleep, and I've been gaining about 2.5 pounds a month. It's just crazy when I think about it. Because it doesn't seem like that much weight. I mean, it is. And it's really good. It's really good that I've been able to put on weight, because I lost a lot of weight. And I wonder what my weight will stop at, because at some point, when I get up to the calories, in the last 6 months that I've been on the feeding tube, we still haven't gotten me up to the maintenance amount of calories that they want me to be on every single day. And once I hit the maintenance amount of calories they want me to be on, my weight will level off and I'll stop gaining weight. And I kind of wonder where that will be. And I'm not super worried about it, but once I get there, it will be like so much easier to shop for clothing and things like that, because it was so frustrating before I got the feeding tube, because I was just losing weight and losing weight and losing weight, and it was terrifying. Like, I got down to an extra small in juniors, and I was starting to think that I was going to have to shop in the kids section, because things were starting to not be small enough. And I've always weighed you know, like, except for when I had to be on prednisone for a year, I've always weighed about 150. So, like, to get that small, it was just really intense. And not only, it's not like I lost that weight and I was just exercising and eating healthy. It's like I lost that weight and I felt horrible because I couldn't eat. So it was awful. But now that I'm starting to put on weight again, I'm feeling like I have more energy. I'm able to do more things. I'm getting more done in my day-to-day. I'm finally able to do more work. There's still a lot I need help for, and there's still a lot I'll always need help for because I have a 3-pound weight limit. And like I could get super big beefcake muscles. Okay, I probably couldn't get big beefcake muscles with a 3-pound weight limit. But if somehow I managed to get huge beefcake Hulk muscles, I still would have a 3-pound weight limit. So, you know, that's frustrating. It is frustrating. But I feel more energetic, and I just get frustrated because a lot of times I think, I could do this if this tube wasn't in the way. But then I remind myself that if the tube wasn't in the way, I wouldn't have the energy to do whatever that thing was. You know, whatever it is that I was in the middle of doing. So, I feel like I'm more myself again. But at the same time, it sucks having a feeding tube. It completely sucks having a feeding tube. There's nothing about the feeding tube that I like. And I'm not going to pretend that having a feeding tube is great. And I love it. And I'm grateful to it just to make anybody happy. I don't need to be happy about my feeding tube to make anybody else happy. I hate my feeding tube. If the doctor called me tomorrow and was like, Fay-Tay, they've cured your condition and you don't need a feeding tube anymore, I wouldn't be like, oh, but I like my feeding tube. Well, I hate this thing. This thing sucks. It's noisy. It sometimes stops for no reason at all and just says feed complete. Sometimes it does that in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping. Sometimes it will just alarm for no reason. I mean, I'm attached to this cord that's like 3 feet long. It's a little bit of an exaggeration. I mean, I've had this tube get stuck in hangers when I'm putting away laundry, and then I go and walk away and there's a hanger attached to me. Like, yeah, that's funny to think about, but when it's you, it sucks. It's like I'm trying to get around my house and I'm trying to do normal things and just trying to be normal Fay-Tay, and this thing sucks. And you know what? I don't have to like it. I don't have to like the feeding tube. I like what it does for me, but I don't have to like the feeding tube. So that's me after 6 months on the feeding tube. We'll see how I am after a year on the feeding tube. I bet you $1 I still don't like it. I bet you I get to a year and I'm not like, and I'm still like, you know what? If they call me and they say I can cure you, I just do it. There's nothing enjoyable about the feeding tube. Having more energy is great. Putting on more weight again is great. But having to be attached to a backpack all of the time sucks. It sucks. It really sucks. Oh, one other thing that's been good is for about as long as I've known Master Pravis, we've always gone for a walk every single day. Like, we used to even go in the blizzard. We would go in the rain. We would go no matter what. I can't go in the rain now because I have to keep my port dry. But we have started going for walks in the park again. Very, very, very short walks. Like 5 minutes away from the car and 5 minutes back. when I had the surgery to have my feeding tube put in, my step goal was 150 steps, which is really, really little. Especially for somebody who, used to easily get 8,000 steps a day and used to be able to jog no problem. And, now it's like 150 steps, or it was 150 steps. It's been a hard year. It's taken me a lot of work. But at this point, after 6 months with the feeding tube, we are at 1,450 steps a day, which is still not a lot. But if you consider that I went from 150 steps and now I'm doing about 1,500 a day, most days, I would say that that's a pretty big improvement, and I definitely could not have done it without the feeding tube. So even though I hate it and even though it sucks, I'm not saying it doesn't do good things for me. I do like what it does, but I hate having to lug it everywhere. So that's where I'm at after 6 months. I hope everybody out there is doing well, and I'll talk to you guys later. Mew! Bye! Oh, and one more thing about having a feeding tube is you go through a lot of keychains. I've already lost like 2 keychains because we're like really rough on the backpack, and I don't even mean to be, but like imagine it. It goes everywhere with me. But, so right now this is what I have on here. I have this like ice cream that like I got in one of those quarter machines. I have this little heart. It's a little heart. I thought there were 3 over here, yeah. I got a Skyrim. Oh. Got a Skyrim keychain. And then on this side, I got a mouse. And a Thor hammer. It's Mjolnir.